Springtime is here and we're trying to do it grown and sexy. I'm trying to switch up and cultivate a different type of list that you won't see anywhere on YouTube, because this is some grown and sexy springtime list that's gonna cost you a pretty penny if you don't already got these fragrances. But trust me, if you're trying to modify your style to a little bit of a grown and sexier type of vibe, stay tuned to this list. Let's roll my motherfucking music so I can put you on to these 8 grown and sexy springtime fragrances.
We're all alone. Yeah, for some friends from the south side. In case you cared, out of all your friends, I want to be Cuba.
Blessed morning, my beautiful peoples. You know who it is. It's your boy, C to the U to the B to the A. These aren't your typical fragrances. Actually, this list is a little bit eclectic even for me. I really went above and beyond to try to cultivate something that's just some grown man shit for the grown man in you.
Ha! Gay!
Because I'm still 11 in my head and I will live forever young like a Toys R Us kid. Now, these fragrances are a little bit on the expensive side. They are all niche fragrances. 1 or 2 of them are more affordable and the others are quite expensive. Now, this list is just to put you on to some fragrances that I think are sexy springtime fragrances with versatility. There are some grown man shit that will break the bank a little bit, but the least you can do, get some decants to see how they formulate on your skin and if you feel that they match up to that grown and sexy vibe. That first fragrance that I'm going to be putting you on to is one of the most beautiful bottles in my collection, and that's by the House of Oud, and this is Cypress Shade. Individually hand painted bottle. You will not have the same bottle as mine because they are all painted by hand and they're all custom. There's no particular format that they do. They just do what they do. Boom, pull that joint out. This is a heavy ass base and the bottle is not heavy at all. But what you have here is a beautiful green anise fragrance with little leathery nuances, and I also get fig essence. It's not listed in the notes, but I get some dry fruity fig in here that really smells beautiful in the air and gives you this grown and sexy green vibe with that anise being a powerhouse in this fragrance. It really took me a while to appreciate this fragrance more and more because the anise on my skin just becomes very beautifully spicy and really floral off of my skin that makes it outstanding. This is definitely a very unique take on a green kind of chypre fragrance, but I think amazing for the springtime because when it dries down you have essence of mint and vetiver, woody nuances. You got a little bit of a mild pepperiness to here. And again, that dry fig leaf that I get from this fragrance is absolutely stellar. This smells incredible and one you could definitely check out and be different from the rest of the pack. Next one. And speaking of minty vibes, this has to be the more mass appealing of this fragrance brand, but it's an absolute love at first sniff and I really encourage you to at least get a sample. That's fragrance Dubois London Oud. I gotta give all credit to Ja. Ja's the one who pinpointed this at the Max Aroma event. He's like, Coobs, you need this in your collection. I was able to get it through a Max Aroma kit that I developed. And the minty brightness and mass appeal quality that this fragrance has is stellar. There's nothing but quality and sex appeal and grown man shit in a bottle. Ugh, I gotta hit you with the notes of this. So it's mint, lemon, bergamot, C notes, lavender, white florals, jasmine, nutmeg, oud, cardamom, cedar, and patchouli. What you're getting here is just mass appeal and fragrance quality at the highest level. It's absolutely sexy as shit, awesome for the springtime. It's so wearable. There's nothing offensive here, but you get to experience all those little nuances with great quality ingredients in it. So London Oud is just a mass appeal panty dropper that's grown man shit. Next, the next fragrance is OG shit, very expensive by a very prestigious house. That's a house of Roja Dove, and that's Burlington 1819. Not to be confused with Burlington Comb Factory unless they went out of business. This is just citrus and rum. This got citrus, rum, and a lot of it. A lot of citric nuances. There are some sour points in this fragrance that might be a little bit off-putting for only like a minute. The magic of this fragrance happens on the dry down when that vetiver pops up with that tobacco essence. The booziness is still there. It's got ambergris flecks in here, and the body is held together by that oak moss and cedar, and of course you got a little bit of that jengibre, that ginger vibe. This is crazy. It smells incredible off of my skin. In smelling this fragrance, nothing else pinpoints it to me to like a springtime rainy day or something that you wear like a Burberry trench coat with. This is a paired fragrance with a trench coat. You can absolutely wear this to the office, or you can wear this out to network. It's a beautiful fragrance, very mature, very sexy, very spring, very sensual. Next one. The next one is a newer fragrance brand that I'm getting exposed to, and I've just been really enjoying a lot of its fragrances, and that's Terran's Huge's Legend. Such a playful fragrance, and happens to be my scent of the day today. Actually, it just works. It's mass appealing. It doesn't smell cheap or underrated. I feel it has kind of like a mature-ish Dior Sauvage kind of flex to it, but on a different level. It starts off like a lot of fragrances with that lemony bergamot combination, has an amber in here that's sick. Dior Sauvage kicked up with a crazy amber, and just the ingredients here just smell so much better. It's well balanced. It smells super sexy off the skin. I get about 8 hours of it, so that's great because it's more of a fresher fragrance. So performance-wise, it's just outstanding. It's very, very fucking good. It's got grown and sexy spring vibes all over it. If you haven't tried Legend by Terran's Huge, I think you're gonna love it. Just go for it. Next one. This one is one of the cheapest fragrances on this list, and I absolutely love it. It's by the house of Etat Libre d'Orange, and that's the Fat Electrician. Such a fun name for such a bright, sexy, vanillic vetiver fragrance. This is nuts, man. I haven't worn this in a bit. In going through selecting the fragrances that I feel are gonna be really sexy for this spring and have that maturity factor, but with a little bit of playfulness, this was one that I couldn't leave off. I don't know why I haven't worn this fragrance. The problem is I have so much shit, and this is the issue. When you have so many things lose line of sight. And if you don't smell them again and you just don't go through your collection every now and then, you don't get to experience or re-experience those visceral reactions that you first had when a fragrance is this good. This fragrance has that visceral reaction. It's amazing. It's one that I have to keep in the forefront so it can be acknowledged a little bit more. That's why you don't need to have 50, 60, 80 fragrances. You just need to have a handful of bangers to just do shit for certain seasons or occasions or whatever the case may be. This is outstanding. So we got whipped cream, marron glace, vetiver, vanilla, olive leaf, myrrh, and what the fuck is that? Oponax? I don't know what the fuck that is. Shit. Get it. In this size, cheap, maybe under $50 or something like that. Look for it, shop it. You can find it in the Grim. I mean, just such a stellar, non-boring vetiver fragrance. That whipped cream, that vanillic nuance that's in here just switches it all up. God, I just fell in love with this fragrance. Next one. The next fragrance I feel just screams corporate fresh, and that's Parfums de Marly Sedley. Underrated. Just works. It's lavender, it's citrus. It has a little bit of a Platinum Chanel Egoise kind of vibe to it, but it has its own identity as well. There's also like a fresh dryer sheet aspect to this fragrance also, but it's really citrus, ginger, lavender, and sexy. Very corporate, very fresh, very office safe, maybe more office appropriate than anything else, but has a definite maturity level here that doesn't seem to scream 25 and under to me. It works beautifully on my skin. I get about 7-ish hours on my skin. It's progressively diminished a little bit in the years that I've had this fragrance. If we're thinking about grown and sexy spring, I had to put Sedley in here because it really hits all those facets. Again, some people don't like this fragrance or they think it's a little bit boring. If we're thinking about sexy grown man springtime, Sedley is it. Next one. The next one is a Monster Gin Juniper Berry fragrance with a big musk punch, and not by a house that I love, but I love this one because my wife got it for me. And this one is Bay 19 by Labo. And as you can see, my wife put here, my Bay. So fucking cute. For me, this just screams green, gin, musk, and a lot of musk. Sometimes a little bit piercing to the nostrils, as I feel a lot of the Labo fragrances are. That chemical punch that they have in these fragrances are crazy, and it lasts about 3 to 5 minutes off of my skin, which is a long time for it to really develop. But once it does, if you want something that's green, herbal, musky, and a little bit of booze, like clear booze, this fragrance really does beautiful things. I get a lot more compliments surrounding this fragrance than I personally compliment myself. Like, It takes time for me to work my way up to really enjoying the fragrance. And when I start having people like, oh my God, you smell nice. Wow, what the fuck is that? That smells so different. Then my ego starts getting boosted a little bit and I'm like, yeah, nah, this is Labo. By the way people start reacting, it kind of changes my perspective. It's superficial as fuck, but I like it. I think it works very well off my skin. I think it's some grown man sexy shit and really a monster powerhouse juniper fragrance if I've ever smelled one. The next fragrance I recently dropped the video on, it was Love at First Sniff. I gotta get a full bottle. I only have a sample, but this is by the house of Misensia, and that's For Your Love. This is crazy. I dropped a video on it. I'm not gonna go into details. It's in the space of Baccarat Rouge 540. Absolutely amazing. Please watch the video so you guys can get the breakdown of the notes. This is crazy. I want to smell more from this house because this first reaction was stellar. I love y'all motherfuckers from the heart. This is some grown and sexy springtime list that's gonna be different from anybody else's list on YouTube because I was going for a different flow here. Just not your traditional bullshit that everybody's gonna put on their list, not necessarily being bad. I was just going for a different wavelength. I love y'all motherfuckers from the heart, and I'll see y'all bitches next time. You know what is biggest in the game. Smooches.
What's fresh? Who's best? One of them's gonna pass the test.
For the fly gun holder, money folder, Motorola start tag when it's time to call back. For the rough, rugged, and raw way, this nigga Jay, it's a game, but he don't play. Hey, for all the chicks that got dead in the penthouse suite on top of my mom's crib. It's nonsense you never get in. It's nonsense that you would think that you would.